Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine. Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste until, well, let's just say your hour has come again. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
What is up, tube users? I am the stereotypical gamer, and welcome to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today we are talking about one of the greatest games of all time, one of the highest rated games of all time, and kind of a generation defining game that still holds up today because of how good it is. And it's just kind of crazy to think about that it is celebrating its 20-year anniversary today, or this year, not today, but this year it's celebrating their 20-year anniversary, and that is Half-Life 2. I mean, this was always going to be a game for this series. This is just one of the best games out there, and just replaying it too, just the first part of the campaign, it really does still hold up and is still fun. And I think there's a couple reasons for that, but it's just crazy to look at the Steam page of this and see that the release date for Half-Life 2 was November 16th, 2004. And you know, the graphics in this game are still really good. The physics in this game are just basically unmatched. I mean, there's still games today I don't think really hold a candle to the game physics that Half-Life has, and just all of this combines for a really great game. And for only $10, just base, it's a must-have for anyone that enjoys first-person shooters, because it is great first-person shooter and a great story, but also combines a lot of like great puzzle elements too, combined with the great physics in this game, and just all of that melding together into just one of the best games of all time. It's just amazing to see. And I mean, don't just take my word for it. Look at the Steam page for this game. It is just crazy. Almost 150,000 reviews, overwhelmingly positive. 98% of those reviews are positive. It's nobody really has anything bad to say about this game because it is so good, and it still holds up even if you've like never heard of Half-Life, never played any of the Half-Life games, don't know what's going on, and played it today. I think it still would hold up. And even though the Half-Life 2 is technically a sequel to Black Mesa, it still works, and you can still follow the story of this game without really missing anything from the first game. It's sure there's a lot of context, there's a lot of characters that come back into this game, but really the story in this game is kind of on its own, and that's what makes it so great, honestly. I think what makes this one of the greatest campaigns of all time in first-person shooters and just kind of games in general is that it's not a guided campaign. Like, sure, it's linear. It's not. There's not like an open world to explore and kind of like branch out. There is some like little hidden secrets and stuff like that, but you're kind of going on a straight and narrow path for the most part. But to get to each step on this path, there are some puzzles, and it kind of just blends together in this really well crafted maze. For example, at the start of the game, you're kind of just like trapped in a room, and you have to build up using the like pickup button to build blocks to get up to a window to break yourself out, kind of stuff like that. It's like you just have to think of stuff that the game allows you to do and use the game's physics and stuff to get to each of these checkpoints. And then once you get to the first person shooting, it is kind of dated, you know. It's like a bloom, I think, kind of shooting. It's not like really precise by any means, but it's still good. It's not up to today's standards, but it's still really good. It's still really enjoyable for its standard. And honestly, I still have a lot of fun with it. The plethora of different weapons that you get slowly trickling throughout the campaign just kind of makes it fresh and exciting each time, and finding all these little secrets of ammo stashes and different armor pools and stuff is really cool. And I think that's what makes it so good. Is it's not like most first person shooter campaigns where you're like going to objective A, defending objective A, fighting off waves of mobs, then going to objective B, capturing objective B, kind of things like that. It's a linear progression, but you don't feel there's no like markers for where to go. You have to figure out where to go and what to do, and sometimes it's not super clear, and you have to like think of what the game's physics allow you to do to figure out where to go. And that's what's so great about it. It just blends the gameplay and the narrative together so well, and that's a huge reason why this is one of the greatest games of all time. And honestly, you can't talk about how great Half-Life 2 is without talking about the physics in this game. And it's kind of a hard thing to like put into words, but it feels like a GTA game, where GTA, a lot of the fun is derived from the wacky and janky physics that you can get yourself into, like just launching yourself off cliffs by clipping two cars together and stuff like that. It kind of has that feel with how the different like objects that you can pick up can interact with each other. And that's what makes it so good, is all those small interactions and how they play out and how you have to utilize them, you know, like there's a couple of monsters that come up that like they're on the ceiling, and sometimes you can't see exactly where these things are, but you know they're there because they have like a tentacle dropping down. And so what you could do is pick up a fire barrel, shoot it a couple times so it starts to ignite, and then toss it to them, and they'll suck it up, any like physical object, which is just, it's a small thing that like you'll use throughout the game, but it's just something that hasn't been replicated. A lot of first-person shooters just kind of focus on the shooting aspect, but this game really nails its physics, and it really kind of just brings it home with the gravity gun. Unfortunately, I thought you get the gravity gun pretty early in the campaign, but I guess not, because I played through probably an hour of the campaign and didn't get it, but it is one of the funnest guns probably in first-person shooters, and probably one of the most memorable. And just a simple weapon like that, just being so iconic, just kind of really nails down the point that this game isn't just really about its physics, but it does really have good gun mechanics, and it can combine both into this amazing creation. And so, I mean, I usually go over the bad in these kind of games, and really the only thing that I find is kind of quote-unquote bad about this game is the turret mechanics. When you find like a turret and hop into it, as I did earlier, it kind of goes into this weird spectator mode where you're holding the turret and you're using your mouse or you're aiming to aim with the turret, but you can also move around, which kind of makes it interesting, so you can dodge things that are shooting at you while you're on the turret. But it just feels super weird and super janky. The driving mechanics, well, I love the like hover jet that you get into here in a little bit, and the action sequences that you have with it are really fun. It is a little bit janky. There's definitely some times where I was flipping over. It kind of feels like Halo's Warthog, where you're just like, kind of, it feels really smooth driving it around, but it does have some jank and can easily flip and stuff. So that is really the only bad thing, and it's really nothing in comparison to how great this game is, and still how kind of fun it is. Just like having those flip moments and just seeing the crazy physics in action is kind of exciting. And the only other like small issue I have with it is the lack of replayability. While the campaign itself is just this phenomenal beast that really just surpasses any other campaign, any other story in the first-person shooter genre. That's all it is. It's just the campaign. There's no like difficulties. There's no like. I mean, I guess there is speed runs and stuff like that, but it's not part of the base game. And there's I mean, obviously Half-Life mods are a huge thing. You have games that have come out like Counter-Strike, Gary's Mod, all these games come from Half-Life. And so there are things, but just the game itself, if you buy Half-Life 2 off the store, all it is this campaign. And yeah, you can mod it, and the mods are technically free unless you pay for them, but most mods are free for the game. It's just that, and it just doesn't have that replayability to it, but it's counteracted obviously by mods and stuff like that. So it's a small little gripe, but it's one that I think has a little bit of validity to it, where you could, I think, in theory, like have different difficulties for this game, just make it harder in general. But this game unfortunately doesn't do that. But it really shouldn't take away from how fantastic and fun this game is to play and to play over again. And one other great thing I totally forgot to mention is how quickly the loading time is between levels. I mean, it's basically instantaneous. Now, I mean, that could be because I'm on a modern rig and this game just runs super smoothly on that, and maybe in comparison to a 2004 rig, it would have been a lot slower. But just to go through, you could probably just go through the entire campaign and just really not have any loads. It is like a slight load of like less than a second usually, and like it will pause the game, but really other than that there's no loading whatsoever, and I'm pretty sure that it is the same throughout the entire campaign, which is a huge plus in my book. And honestly, this game, $10 price tag, it is definitely still a fantastic game, but majority of the time you can get this game whenever there is a sale. It's usually on sale, and I think you can get it for like $1. And definitely at $1 it's a must-have, but I would still say even at $10 this is still a great game to play, even by today's standards 20 years later. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like if you did. Go check out Half-Life 2 if you've been living under a rock and somehow came across this video and haven't checked out Half-Life 2. Go check it out. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.